Supply chain management as a field is a fairly new field. It really has evolved on a combination of logistics, just flow of goods and information, into really thinking about the supply chain beyond just the interactions and transactions as part of your strategy to compete. And that's where my interest is actually, is how can you, by looking at your whole network, identify the critical strategies you should follow, not only internally, but also with your partners, to be able to overcome those difficulties and go ahead of the competition. I believe that the companies do not realize how reliant they are until things go wrong. So most companies believe they are an island or that they can live without their partners, but it's that they're used to such a seeming integration that only they notice their convoluted networks when something goes wrong. So increasingly over time, as more and more countries and more markets have opened and more technology has brought into the equation, companies are increasingly reliant of all these network, of this supply chain, working harmoniously to achieve their goals. The level of dependence, some people believe is only on the cost of the part or how big is your supplier, but as we have seen in their news all the time, even this small little part that you sometimes do not even think about could shut down your whole operation and have significant impact. So I do believe that over time, because of the increase of markets globally and the level of sophistication of technology, the interdependencies have grown stronger. When you look on logistics and operations, usually you only think of your costs and how can you drive costs down, how can you become more efficient, one way or the other. When you move to supply chain, your only goal is how can I satisfy that customer? And the customer is the one that eventually starts dominating the equation. And your role in this whole process is how can I align all these partners that may have all these different interests and incentives into what the customer wants. Even though they may be removed from that customer because you are in another country or you're even doing only one part of this big network, how can I make sure you are aware of what the customer wants so we can all work together to satisfy the customer? As a company develops stronger relationships with its partners, you start achieving what I call a multidimensional view of your problems. So you usually, as a company, are focused on your own value proposition and you have specific processes that you work on. And when a problem comes to you, you put back your lens of your process and that's how you try to solve it. As you establish more collaborative networks and you have better relationship with your partners, at that point, when a problem comes, it's no longer your problem. It's everyone's challenge. And you start bringing these different perspectives. So that is what creates innovation in all dimensions. So we've seen it on product side. We see it on cost side. There's some specific examples that are happening today on new demands that the market is bringing and companies need to respond. For example, environmental challenges. So now you are a customer and you want to have an environmentally friendly product. And recently there was a whole change of detergents. Detergents used to be big and lots of water and they need lots of transportation. How can you come up with a detergent that is better for the customer environmental goals? To do that, you have to change the product. You have to change the transportation of the product. You have to change the shelving of the product. So unless you have a network of companies that look at this problem together, none of them can really bring to the market a new detergent that satisfies new needs on the environmental side. And that applies for cost, that applies for service, because once you have a network and a problem comes forward, you can post it to this network. And the networks start working step by step on bringing their own perspectives and achieve that goal. And I think that that's what makes American companies that are global very successful or European companies that are global very successful because they have unleashed the power of going to this network as they solve and grow their key problems. We're seeing all these technologies that allow people-to-people communication in a new revolutionary way. And that has been fueled by mobile phones, as well as familiarity of technology and finding ways to mimic social interactions through technology, which used to not be natural because it was meant to be for a business transaction. And it was very much on transaction basis. It was not thought about the way an individual thinks about their life. Now that they have unleashed the power of these social interactions through digital media, that will start translating into other set of innovations for business. How can I now maybe have a more fluid network of partners? Maybe we're going to go back to the days where we were going to a market all the time and buying transportation in the market. That was not a good strategy because not all of these players did not have either the ways of communicating or even the technology to let me know what their price would be or provide me the same level of service that any other supplier could go. But as more and more of this technology comes into society in general, any single person in the world should be able to give me a quote on transportation, and I should be able to validate that quote and trace the products. So once you merge product level identification, in general digital and internet communication, and social media, I believe that we're going to start seeing some new ways of doing business.